That means now, even if legislature, that is the Congress in United States, passes some law which contradicts this Bill of Rights, then the court can nullify that law, saying that it is unconstitutional. That is called as judicial review. Please note this. Now the constitution makes some law which violates Bill of Rights, then judiciary will say, no, Mr. Congress, this is wrong because this violates the constitution, so your law is invalid. This power was not there with the courts in England, but this power is there with the courts in United States, and this is called as judicial review. Not only that, in fact, in United States, even in case of emergencies, the legislature cannot make a law which violates the Bill of Rights, which takes away any right that is enumerated in Bill of Rights. So legislature is not competent for it. But a law becomes a law is made by legislature. Now in emergency, now there has become an emergency case in United States. There is some bombing has been happened by some Al Qaeda guys. Now they want to restrict the freedom of the Bill of as envisioned. They want to restrict some of the freedoms or some of the liberties that has been envisioned in Bill of Rights. Now, to happen that, the initiation should be from judiciary. That is, the courts will tell legislature, courts will tell Congress, yeah Congress, see this has been the condition, so please go ahead and enact a law which is doing this. So please note this very, very fundamental difference, that the power to initiate this action of violation, of making any laws which take away, abridge the liberties of an individual, lies with the judiciary in US. Hence we call it as judicial supremacy. So this is how it is in United States. So I hope, you should, by this time now, you should have a very clear understanding of these two pictures. So in England, it is a parliament supremacy. Parliament can do whatever it wants. Court helps only against executive but not legislature. In US, it is a judicial supremacy, wherein judiciary should, even to enact a law in case of emergencies which abridges the Bill of Rights, judiciary should initiate the action, and judiciary is the full rakwala, is the caretaker of the whole constitution or whole liberties of citizens, so that if Congress enacts some law which takes away any Bill of Rights, any rights enumerated in Bill of Rights, the judiciary will declare that law as unconstitutional. So that court, the Supreme Court in Federal Court in United States, is the rakwala of the Bill of Rights. So this has been how, this is how it is there in 2. Now we will come, what is the status of fundamental rights in India. Now first let's go by the history. So for the first ever time, this fundamental rights was demanded during the time of Simon Commission. If you remember the Simon Commission, where all we shouted, Simon go back, all white, Simon go back. Yeah, if you remember the movement in history, that was the first time in the history of India where we demanded fundamental rights. But Simon Commission said no. Fundamental rights, see, they're just having some rights on paper does not serve the purpose unless there is a will to implement. So this was a statement which Simon Commission gave, and they downgraded that fundamental rights should not be given to Indians. So this is the point. So this was the fundamental rights as this was the opinion of Simon. Now, but later Nehru report was in favor of fundamental rights in the Karachi session. If you remember, this fundamental rights was passed. So that was the first time. So that's how fundamental rights evolved in India. Now the position in India. So how is it in India? Is it similar to United States or is it similar to England? India has taken a mid approach. It is a combination of both United States and UK. Okay. Now in India, the Supreme Court is the rakwala, is the caretaker, is the caretaker of the fundamental rights of citizens. So the courts can declare any law as unconstitutional if it violates the fundamental rights as enumerated in Part third only the party of constitution. So that way we can say it is being taken from the United States. Now, but there are little bit differences between the United. It is not completely taken from United States. Also, there are little bit differences. Now, when you compare to England, now in England, Parliament is. So you see, England has a parliamentary system of government, and we'll discuss parliamentary system. What is parliamentary system of government? I will just take a small break. I mean, here, just make a star note. Okay, in your books, you just make a star note. What is parliamentary system of government and what is presidential system of government? See, this is one of the, because this is the initial, we'll again come in detail about this, but I will just give you a small introduction because you need to have these concepts clear in your mind. See, in government, there will be three things: legislative, executive, judiciary. What are the three pillars? Legislative, executive, judiciary. Legislative means the law making organ. It is the parliament. Now, executive is the government running machinery. Executive means basically it is like, see, now all the members in our India also, we voted everyone, and all the members who won the election will be in the part of legislative. But only the majority party will be the executive. That is the one who forms the government and runs the government. He is the executive. Please know this very much important difference. See, because most of you will be confused that executive means president. No, executive is not president. Executive means the person who is forming the government and running the government. He is an executive. I mean, legislature means all those who are elected representatives. So, so legislature in India is, again, it would be parliament, it would be two houses of parliament, and president is the definition of legislature. We will describe it later. So understand this primary difference between a legislature and an executive. And executive is not president. Please. Because most of the time in your whole thing you will have this executive order, and if you think executive order it's an order of the president, it's wrong. No, wrong. So, okay. So legislature means all those who are elected. Executive means only the majority party which is running the government, and judiciary is judiciary, you know that. Now, in presidential form of government, the executive, legislative are totally separate. So that is executive, the election is different and legislative election is different, and each is not responsible to each other. Executive will not sit in the legislature. So in United States of America, it's a presidential system of government wherein president forms a parallel government, and there is this legislature which is parallel, and president does not sit in Congress. President has his own set of cabinet which is not taken from the members of legislature, and the ministers are not elected then. Ministers are representatives of president and they form the executive. So understand this. Whereas in parliament, the executive sits in legislature, and executive sits, because it sits in legislature, there is more interaction with the executive. So executive is not only executive, he is also a member of legislature. Now we will discuss this in detail when we discuss the different forms of government. So this is the important point. Anyways,